Hello, welcome to Sound and Fury Book Reviews. As usual, I am Tina. Today I'm doing a book review of On Earth as It Is on Television by Emily Jane. This is a book coming out on June 13th, 2023 from Hyperion Avenue. It is a sci-fi book. I received this book from NetGalley in exchange for a fair review, so thank you so much to the publishers. I really appreciated this. There are no spoilers in this review. This heartwarming, delightful, and immersive novel is a deep dive into how the world would react if aliens showed up and didn't attack. What is it about? The arrival of spaceships can bring up a lot of big questions. What does it mean that we're not alone? Why did aliens come here? Who knew beforehand? Where are the aliens going? Wait, they can't just leave without inviting us into their galactic federation, or at least obliterating us. In Emily Jane's debut, a rollicking paean to what it means to be alive in the 21st century, a fleeting presence of alien vessels, and the certainty that humans are not alone in the universe sparks intense uncertainty as to our place within it. Blaine has always been content to go along with whatever his supermom, wife, and television-addicted, half-feral children want. But when the kids blithely ponder skinning people to see if they're aliens, and his wife announces a surprise road trip to Disney World, even steady Blaine begins to crack. Half a continent away, Heather, bored in a Malibu pool where the ships hover overhead, watches as the arrival heralds the demise of her dead-end relationship and sets her on a quest to understand herself, her accomplished and oh-so-annoying stepfamily, and why she feels so alone in a universe teeming with life. And Oliver, suddenly conscious and alert after 20 catatonic years, struggles to piece together broken memories and understand why he's following a strange cat on a westward journey into the greatest adventure of his or anyone's lifetime. That was a very long synopsis, but it actually doesn't spoil or ruin anything. So it's actually, it's a long one that I actually approve of. So my partner, he is obsessed with sleeper cars. You know, the ones that look generic on the outside, but when you open it up, you can pretty much smoke any other car. He had a Chrysler LeBaron back in high school. He bought it from his grandma. And that thing had no governor. And idiots that we were, we opened that bad boy up a few times on the 401. Honestly, maybe 17-year-olds shouldn't have licenses. Anyway, this book was like a sleeper car for me. I had no idea what to expect going in, as the blurb is rather unassuming and kind of quirky. It doesn't seem like it's going to be anything, kind of over the top. But I absolutely loved it. It blew me away. You know what it is? It's a nice story. There's no murders, no psychopaths. There is passing mention of abuse, but it's very brief, and the point behind it is escape and healing. The novel made me smile, it made me chuckle, it left me feeling kind of happy. Books rarely do that for me, so it's nice to have a story that was rather heartwarming and reminded me of the good things in life, like cats and kids and bacon. I'm pescatarian during the week, for environmental reasons. But we eat meat on the weekends. I try to get meat that's ethically sourced, mainly because I love bacon, not as much as Anne does in the book though. I love the occasional hot chicken sandwich, and my husband loves to use his smoker. Honestly, steak and all other cuts of pork I could do without, but I love brisket, and I love salt beef. We get it once a year at Christmas, and I like lamb occasionally. And sorry, but poutine needs real gravy. But meat is just so bad for the environment, and the prices of meat these days are insane. Anyway, what was I talking about? This book this book is a bit zany. It's very stream of consciousness, and if you don't have kids in your life, whether your own or nibblings or students of some sort, you might not realize that the sections with them are pretty realistic. The two kids in this book, despite being a few older than my kids, reminded me so much of mine, it was unreal. They were hilarious. The way they talk to one another, their parents and the cat, their kind of unstoppable energy. The cat names in this book are also fantastic. Yes, Mr. Meowmits is the name of the main cat, and I thought that was so funny. Way more interesting than my old cat's name. Her name was Risotto, but her nickname was Miss. We only called her Miss. Anyway, I also thought Blaine, the kind of TV commercial dad in a way, he's kind of bumbling, but he's endearing, was a nice guy and a good dad, despite being a bit overwhelmed, and he goes through something in a manner that was very realistic. And believe me, if you start the book and are enjoying it but aren't sure about the marriage subplot, keep reading. That's not what you think. The Heather plot was great because her privileged state isn't a huge part of the book, and her actions and feelings do make sense. So yes, a rich person I didn't actually mind. Oliver is wonderful. His determination to figure out his past and find a future was admirable. Honestly, I really cared about every person in this book. They felt real, and that they were regular people that didn't require a big heaping dose of trauma to have a story arc. It seems to be a trend that every character has some sort of trauma in their past. I'm not against this. I'm not trying to invalidate trauma or trauma journeys. I think it's important that we have those because sometimes we need to understand other perspectives or life choices. But I also also really enjoyed the lack of trauma in the people in this novel, except for a pair of them, which, as I said, is only mentioned briefly in passing. This is one of those alien books where I, shockingly, given my love of alien cultures, honestly didn't care that we didn't get a lot about the aliens. It's more about the humans. It's also a story about psychic cats. It's also quite funny, with lines like, well, clearly the aliens made a deal with the government. The deep state had, yet again, betrayed its people. And a gift of cell phones would dissolve any semblance of control or separation between children and screens. Children and screens would fuse irreparably. It's not preachy, though. It's just like poking fun at things. It pretty much pokes fun at everything. So from conspiracy theorists to super moms to like rich people to everything. It's really fun. It's very well rounded. There were two things that I did find issue with, though. The first was the something Blaine goes through does go on a lot longer than I had patience for, as this is a subplot that I'm never into. And also that someone who doesn't know how to ride a motorcycle simply purchases one and then rides away on it. Do they even know where the clutch is? How to shift gears? Riding a motorcycle is not an intuitive thing. I mean, if you were in a wasteland and you came across a car, if you knew the basics of turning it on and it wasn't a standard, you probably could drive it. But a motorcycle? No. I mean, I used to have a motorcycle license. I let it lapse because I don't have time to ride motorcycles. I barely get to ride Charlena, my Sea-Doo, who is my favorite thing. Aside from books, I guess. Yeah, but I do know a lot about motorcycles. And yeah, motorcycle misuse is always kind of like a pet peeve of mine. Those are two very minor things, though. I loved the writing style, as it was very stream of consciousness. This is definitely a minimal plot type of novel, though there are twists. It's like a quirky little indie movie that stays in its lane, and for that, it quite honestly almost perfects what it was aiming to do. I loved it. I loved it a lot, and I definitely recommend it. Yeah, it's a weird, quirky little book, and I think if you like sci-fi, if you like alien invasion stories that aren't actually invasions, I think you should check it out. And thank you again to NetGalley and the publisher for the e-arc. I really, really liked it. If you have any, physical arcs lying around you need to get rid of, I would definitely take one off your hands. My email address is at the bottom. Thank you.